Hi, I'm Faith.
Kaya.
Hey, I'm Nia.
And welcome to A Time Like This.
We're three young women with different backgrounds who have a common interest in life.
We may not have it all figured out, but who the heck does?
It may get a little bumpy along the way, but just sit back, relax, and catch a vibe. Hey, girl!
Hi!
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Episode 3.
I know.
Episode 3, that's crazy, y'all.
Wow.
Yeah.
Episode 3.
How do you guys feel?
Professional.
Right?
Professional.
Yeah.
I feel good. Yeah, I'm excited for episode 3. I feel like it's flying by so fast.
It really is. But we've made some progress. I feel like we worked out a lot of kinks.
Yes.
Yeah.
So last
girl.
week's episode was so much better.
It was. I think
yeah.
so.
I'm so
Sound,
excited.
Picture, all
And
that
I
stuff.
just can't hide it.
Lord have mercy.
But yeah, let's get to the nitty gritty.
Yes.
Yes.
So what's good, sis?
What's good? Oh, this week was rough, y'all.
Oh.
Yes, I'm coming closer to graduation, and thank you. But the work is kicking my butt.
I feel you.
Yeah, between that and like the podcast and then working, and then it's just, I feel like I haven't slept since we last recorded.
Yeah.
But I'm good. You know, it's been a rewarding experience. I'm glad to be going through this with you guys. So, yeah.
Lean
That's-
on me.
Right. That's pretty much all that's happened.
What's good with me? I had a pretty good weekend. I'm not even gonna lie. My work is very it's pretty fun. I'll say that.
Your job?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like my team and all that stuff, but let's not talk about work. Let's talk about something I did fun on the weekend. So my sister's birthday was actually yesterday, and we threw her like a party. It was supposed to be at like the park, Piedmont Park, but it was raining the day before, and it was raining a little bit on that day. And then the ground was dewy, and then it was cold in the springtime. It's still cold in the springtime. It's like 50 degrees
Yeah.
in the springtime.
Yeah.
But anyways, when you have plans, you always have to have a second plan. So our second plan, we went upstairs to her apartment. We made it like a picnic, like you know,
An indoor picnic?
An indoor
Yeah.
picnic.
Oh,
We had the
that's
tent.
cute.
We had the grass table. We had, oh my gosh, I might have to put some clips in our video on YouTube so y'all can see like we did so well, and we set it up in like 20 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was amazing. Happy birthday, Shereen.
Happy birthday, sister.
That's good with you, sis.
Yeah, what's good with you?
Okay. I just had to breathe for a second. So I'm not gonna like go much into my week this week. I would just like two things I want to say for my week this week is number one, congratulations to the newly engaged couple. Not gonna mention their names. Number two, I really just want to say to men and women out there, the storm does not last forever. It's gonna pass, man. It's gonna pass, and that's all I want to say. I had a very emotional week.
Really?
The emotion wasn't directed to me, but it was like people that's very close to me that was just hurt this week, and yeah, that's why I'm saying what I'm saying. So yeah, but other than that, I had a good week.
That's
Good
good.
energy
Yeah.
all the time, but I'm about to fight some people. Just kidding.
All right, so weekly affair, y'all. First of all, y'all already know I do not know what's going on in this world. I had to search for this, but
There wasn't a lot going on though.
there really wasn't,
Yeah.
y'all. I was like trending on Twitter. There's the shade room.
I don't even have Twitter.
Me either. I was googling it.
When it's my week, the Lord just drops it
Right.
down in my lap. Yeah.
But anyway, I found something. So I was scrolling, minding my business, scrolling through Shade Room,
What you find?
and I found, I think her name's Chloe Bailey, right? From
Yeah.
Chloe and Halle.
Chloe and Halle.
So she released her music video for Treat Me.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And I was looking through the comments, and the comments were going in. Everyone was like, "Oh, girl, we get it," because she was very, I guess she's gotten older, so she's
Yeah.
showing more of her sexual side. And people seem to be really harsh on her. Like you notice, like when she started posting little Instagram clips, like thirst traps, everyone be going mad hard on
One
Chloe.
of them was weird. I ain't gonna lie.
What?
One of the thirst traps were weird.
Okay, so that's what I want to ask you. Why do you guys think that she seems to get so much backlash from having this like hypersexual image, as in a like other celebrities don't seem to get the same backlash? You know what I
Right.
mean?
Okay, here I go. Chloe, girl, I've been waiting for you. No, not in a bad way. My head is itching. I'm gonna scratch my head quickly. Anyway, so when Chloe and Halle came out, right, they were very like, I feel like soulful, very like a cappella-y. You know, they gave me like what's that woman's name?
don't know
Jill
their
Scott.
song.
They give me like very like Jill Scott
yeah.
vibes,
like
right?
neo soul.
Yeah.
Type of,
And if you compare them to like Megan and whatever, when they came out, Megan and like Nicki Minaj did say they came out and that was who they were. Like they were like all booty and like boobs and whatever, like twerking. That was them, right? But when Chloe and Halle came out, they came out as pure. So we kind of watched them grow up, and I personally feel like that is why people are taking it so hard. It's kind of like when I almost said Hannah Montana, but when Miley Cyrus was like very like gothish, and now people were like attacking her and saying, "Oh, she's a different person." That's because we watched her grow up, and when you grow up, you change.
Yeah.
So I do feel that she does too much sometimes, but at the same time, I feel like she's growing up. You know, she's a grown woman. If that's what she chooses to present herself as, that's what she chooses to present herself as. And outside of her showing too much skin, I don't really think she's doing anything bad. Like, it is what it is. And it's either you love or you don't. But leave the girl alone. Like, that's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
First of all, I love the music video. I love this song. Literally, we listened to it before the podcast. We listened to it.
It's stuck in there,
Bro, it's such a good song.
It's
and
catchy.
like,
It's very catchy.
even the music video, like I like that she is expressing her body and expressing herself in the way that she likes to. I feel like, you know, when they were in the group together, she was suppressing herself a little bit, because we can tell, like, if you watch them like grow a little bit, you can always tell that Chloe was like very extroverted and out there, and, you know, just even when they singing like at the table, you can, she's doing all this and that. You know what I'm saying? Like, she was just very, what is it like, exaggerates everything, you know? And you can, like, they just had a different vibe. They started as a group, but they just had a different vibe altogether. So, like, Haley or Holly?
Hallie.
I think it's Hallie.
Hallie, yeah.
I never knew how to pronounce her name, like a lie. Hallie was, you know, a little bit more reserved.
Yeah.
And Chloe is just like, want to move her body, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like now, people were like, in the beginning, people were like, oh my gosh, yes, girl. When they saw she was doing all the extra stuff, they was like, yes, girl, do what you got to do. They was hyping her up. But now that she's doing it more, I feel like people are becoming haters, especially Black women. I'm not even gonna lie, especially Black women. I'm seeing a lot of hate from Black women more than any other race or any other sex or any other gender. And it's like really sad, just because she wants to express herself. And she's expressing herself. And in the beginning, we were like, yes, do what you want to do. We love that you're out here and just living your life. And now that she's doing what she wants to do, out here living her life, people are like, oh, girl, stop. Or you need to chill. Like, for what? Like, I don't understand what the problem is. Like,
yeah, me too.
And then they're comparing her to Beyonce a little bit. Like, some people,
because they worked with Beyonce.
Yeah, and like, they're comparing her to Beyonce. And then one of her last music videos, what was it? One of her last music videos, they compare her to Beyonce. I think it was, what was her last song?
When she had the yellow one?
Idea.
Oh, booty is so big.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They compare.
Sorry.
Did you burp?
No, I was like,
Oh, you didn't like that song? I mean, you like that music video?
I was just laughing. I didn't expect that to be the lyrics.
Oh,
Yeah, she loves her booty. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And you can, through her lyrics, you can tell she loves the way she looks, and she looks bomb. Like,
She does look nice.
Yeah.
body goals, and they're comparing her to Beyonce, not knowing that she's an individual person. You know, Beyonce's not gonna do that, but Chloe gonna do that.
Yeah.
So you can't put two people in the same pod.
Yeah.
And it's okay to have a role model, you know?
Yeah.
Right. And Beyonce, she did pretty good on both of them. I'll say that.
Yeah, for real. They're both very talented, for sure. That's undeniable. I think the way I look at it, honestly, I think the reason why she's getting so much backlash, and I think that Miley Cyrus example was very good, because I don't think there's anything wrong with evolving. You're going to grow up, and sometimes people have a hard time seeing you as an adult when they saw you as a child. However, I think the reason why Chloe and Miley got so much backlash is because anytime you're trying to be something you're not, you're going to come across cringy. And I think that's why Chloe comes across, not to say that she doesn't have this sexual side to her, but the reason why Cardi and Meg don't look as cringy, it looks more natural to who they are. And it seems like, this is obviously just an assumption, but it seems like Chloe's trying to prove something, and that's why it's coming across like, it doesn't look like you. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And I think when you lean into who you are, people will naturally accept other parts of you. And I understand Chloe's frustration because as a human, we're multifaceted. We have other sides to our personality. So no one wants to be put into a box.
Yeah.
But when you try to go to the extreme of like, I'm going to prove like, this is me, I'm this, it's going to come across like, because you read authenticity in other people. So anytime you're, like I said, being something that you're not, it's like cringy. Like you can see it. And that's how it looks to me. It doesn't look natural. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To me.
I feel if anything, it was cringy seeing her trying to be what she was before what she is now. Like when she was with Haley or Holly or
Hallie.
I mean, they were
Hallie.
also children. Like they were teenagers. So they're figuring out who they are at that point. You know what I mean?
How old was she?
Yeah. I don't know.
They're only 22 and 23 now. So at
so,
that
like,
time, they were like
20.
teenagers.
Yeah. They was
That was
probably
20
our
years old.
age.
What
They
do
was
you-
probably
wait,
our
when?
age.
Like 2 years ago. Because that's really when they got popping.
No, they've been on the
they've
scene
been
since
on-
they were, like,
they were like
really
they
young.
performed like
No,
one
I
year in
know
the
they've been on the
Grammys.
scenes like since they was really young, but I'm talking like when they were still in a group together. Like they were like, not Holly, but Chloe was like 20.
Oh, I honestly didn't really follow them at that point, so I don't know. I just like I don't really know her like that. I don't know
Yeah.
them, but even looking at her stuff and her post on Instagram, it looks cringy to me because I wouldn't react the way that like other people are reacting in the comments because it's like, do you? But it just doesn't look natural.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I don't think that she's not being natural. I do feel like sometimes she does too much.
Yeah.
I just think that she's learning herself. Honestly, at 22, we, discover ourselves. That's like when we really become sure about ourselves. And so I feel for her, oh, excuse me, guys. I feel for her. I really do feel for her. So I don't think she's pretending. I really don't feel like she's pretending. I just think that she's just becoming a new person. She's discovering herself. And again, you either accept her or you don't accept her.
Yeah.
But much love to you, Chloe. You're doing a good job, girl. But you got to cover up that booty sometime.
Girl.
But
Show that butt.
I don't think she's pretending, though. That's why I say that Miley Cyrus is a good
Yeah.
example as well, because I think Miley went through the same thing. When she came out of that stage, she was trying to put forth another perception, and that's why it came across cringy. Anytime you're trying too hard, and that's what I think Chloe's going through. She's trying to find herself and change her image, and it's coming across cringy because she's trying so hard.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what's on your mind, girl?
Okay, so let me pull out my handy dandy notebook.
My handy dandy. Okay, Nia.
And this is a notebook that Faith gave me. I want to give a shout out to Faith. So this what's on your mind is kind of deep.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm laughing, but it's kind of deep. It's a topic that like comes up honestly all the time, to be honest. It's not like a topic, oh, hey, this topic, but it's like, you're going to talk about it sooner or later. So my what's on your mind is relationships with your parents.
Okay.
All right.
It's deep.
Alrighty then.
So my first question that I want to ask you, ladies, and I'm not really the best memorizing my own words, so I'm going to read it off my book. All right.
Go for it, girl.
So how do you feel like the relationship you have with your parents affects you personally, and how does it affect the relationship you have with others? That's the first question.
Ooh, okay. How does it affect me personally? Do you mean like in reference to my specific situation or in general?
In general, just like how do you feel like the relationship that you have with your parents, your mom and dad, affected you, like built you as a person?
Just in general?
Just in general.
Well, I think your relationship with your parent, let me flex my psych degree real quick. I think your relationship with your parents affects everything. Like when you're a child, your sense of self-esteem and who you are is coming from your parents. So if you're growing up in like a tumultuous situation, you don't have parents that are like affirming you, that affects your whole view of yourself. And in terms of your relationship with other people, same thing. Like, are you guys familiar with the attachment theory?
Like, no.
It's a theory that was developed by Mary Ainsworth and John Bowlby.
Okay.
It basically says that your relationship with your primary caregiver as a child affects your relationships as an adult. So you can either have an avoidant or an anxious attachment style, or if you had a healthy relationship, you have a secure attachment style. So basically, yes, when you're an adult and you start forming romantic or platonic relationships with people, it depending on your self-esteem or what was developed in your childhood, it's going to transfer in other relationships. That's just the general.
Well, I'm glad you gave that general definition, like an explanation. But I didn't want to know. Maybe I said
more
this
about me specifically. Personally. So personally, ooh, we're getting deep. Yeah. Hold on, wait a second. I feel like at this point now I have a good relationship with both of my parents, but it definitely wasn't perfect. No parent is perfect. I think I had to like process as an adult a lot of the things that like maybe I experienced when I was younger, specifically like, well, with both of my parents, but definitely like I grew up with my mom primarily. And then when I was 16, I moved and I lived with my dad. And I feel like when I turned 22, I realized, hey, you have some things that you need to work on here. And it was affecting like specifically my romantic relationships. And I don't know if it was, well, I know it was because of the relationship with my dad. Like I definitely had to go to therapy and work through all those things because I had a lot of relationship anxiety, like dealing with guys, a lot of insecurities and looking for validation in the wrong places. And I had to, I guess, assess where that was coming from, you know, and I don't know, I need to think a little bit. This is like, this is really deep.
I tried.
But I even like a sense of, when I say like my self-esteem, I really had to work on that. I feel like when I was younger, there were things that I was missing because my parents got divorced when I was really young. And how do I say this? It's hard talking about this because I'm very protective of my parents and I'm like very cautious of the things that I say.
Right, I feel you.
Because, you know, no parent is perfect. Like parenting doesn't come with a rule book. And I think that was one of the things, like when I turned 22 and I started like dealing with all of this, that was one of the things I had to like reconcile with, like, because I had some anger because it was like, dang, how, you know, you didn't do this. You didn't give me this. You messed up here. And I had to realize like my parents are just human. They're just people that had children. Right. No one gave them a handbook. And it was difficult because I had to go through like the grieving process of like, these are the things that you lost in your childhood and you're going to have to come to terms with that, you know? But in terms of like my relationship with other people, for sure, it definitely affected that. Like, I'm going to have to think about this. Like, if you guys want to talk about, go into it. But
excuse me. Yeah, I could definitely see what you're talking about. Growing up, so I only have one parent. I have a mom and a mom. But yeah, growing up in the beginning, my mom and I had a really hard relationship. And like when Faith said she would kind of had to grieve her relationship, there was a point when I finished high school where I had to like step back and also say to myself, you know what, I only had one parent and there was only so much she could give me, and she tried to be a mom and a dad. And it's really hard for a woman to step in a man's role, right. You know? And it kind of did affect some of my relationships growing up, especially in romantic relationships. Like I always looked for a man that's not gonna leave me. It's like Faith, you know, I always needed validation. But at the same time, because my mom was kind of like my dad, I was also very strong. Yeah. You know, like I always felt that I didn't need anybody. And so I pushed people away because I was always like, I don't need to do this. I can do it myself. Yeah, you know, because my mom's very independent. And so I feel that now at 22, there are definitely things I would sit down with my mom and discuss, because I do feel that it affected myself as a person, but also just it robbed me of certain things as a child, just like Faith said, you know. But at the end of the day, I love my mom and I'm grateful for her. I am so happy for where we are right now in our relationship. We have a beautiful relationship. She's like my best friend. And my worst enemy. But yeah, and even with me saying that we had a terrible relationship, there was never a point in my life where I felt that my mom was not willing to be by my side or not able to do for me.
Yeah.
And I knew that every single day when she got up, she did it for me. So as much as I hated her guts, I did hate her guts when I was younger. I know that she did it for me, you know. And again, no parent's perfect. I work with children, and children change every day. Like literally, they want their favorite color is green on Monday and purple on Friday. Like it's so hard to keep up with children. It's so hard to keep up with the times, you know. You can apply one thing in your house, but when your child leaves your house, they're exposed to so many other people and they learn, and that's why they change. And so to all the parents out there, you guys are doing a great job.
You're killing it.
Killing it.
Okay, so I'll say my little spill. Even though I came up with this topic, I honestly did not think of like what my answers would be for it. But it's really what y'all said, especially what you said, Kaya. My relationship with my mom was a little bit rocky, and I only grew up with my mom and a little bit of my dad in the beginning, but I'm not going to talk about that. But so our relationship was a little bit rocky just because, like y'all said, parents don't have a real book of, you know, what's going to come with having the child that you have or the children that you have. So, you know, being a single mother was difficult for her. And I saw it, you know, through my eyes just because like, it's hard raising two young ladies that are exposed to the world whenever they leave your house and don't know what's going to come back to the house, you know, what words are going to come back to the house,
Right.
what thoughts, you know. So it's difficult raising two young women or two young girls, because we're not women yet, but two young girls.
You're a woman?
Yeah.
Oh, well, not now.
Say.
You know
Oh,
what
you
I'm
mean
talking
when
about.
in the
When you
past?
live
In the past. I'm a
Okay.
woman now, but
Yeah.
not in the past, because, you know, I don't want to like make young black girls into grown, you know, that topic. But it's difficult when you're alone, you know, don't have that much help. And, you know, I saw the hardships, and it kind of like, you don't understand it as a child, you know? You don't really understand what's going on. You just see like what's not going on. And it's like, in my head, it just made me upset that all this stuff was happening and I couldn't understand it. But I unfortunately blame my mother in situations like that, which made our relationship a little bit rocky. But now, you know, growing up, I understand it. But it affected my personality a little bit just because the way she, you know, taught me a little bit was to be independent and not depend on anyone. So when I get friends or what relationship or anything like that, and, you know, they want to do something for me, I'll be like, no, I got it. Like, you know, how they be on like on Twitter and stuff, like when you're so independent, your man be like, oh, you want me to get you some roses? Nah, I'll buy some myself. Because you
That doesn't mean I don't want roses, though.
Right. It doesn't mean that, but, you know, just being reserved a little bit. I was like, when I grew up, a lot of people would tell me that I had a wall up, and I didn't really let anybody into my wall, just because that's how, you know, I was raised. I was raised a little bit where I didn't feel like I was able to express myself to anybody in my household, like my mom or my sister. So I was a really reserved child, and I didn't feel like I was able to express myself. So when it came to like people outside of my household, if I can't express myself to somebody inside my household, I'm not going to express myself to you. Like, I'm not going to tell you what's wrong with me. And it kind of like had me in like a angry type of mindset just because I feel like I wasn't able to talk to anyone. So that was me personally, and then me relationships. I just got to the point where I'm able to express my emotions and how I'm feeling, because I would just like, if I'm upset, I would just not talk to you for however long that I felt like I was able to, you know, not talk and just be in my own space and cry. And then when I talk to you, I'll go crazy. I'll lash out just because I don't know how to express my emotions correctly. But I just got to that point in my life where I'm building myself up to, you know, become a different woman. And like you said, having a talk with your parents, like I want to have that talk with my mom. I'm just nervous too, just because I never been able to express myself like that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To touch on like the conversation where you said you weren't really given the opportunity like to talk as a child, I could definitely see that, like coming from an African household, like not African as in African American, but like African as in African parents are very stern, they're very strict, some of them expect a lot from you, and being the only child, like, it was just me and me alone, and I had no siblings to talk to or open up to. And so even though we had the rule of when you go to bed, you can't go to bed angry, because when you wake up, you never know what's going to happen. But at the same time, I was never really given the opportunity to like speak about how I feel. And I think that's why in my 22 years of living, just kidding. But anyway, I think for me, like right now in my life, that's why a lot of people say I'm very like straightforward or very honest and whatever, because growing up, I was just basically taught to like scrap all of that and just move on, and so that's why I'm very like straightforward. I'm like, I don't like this, da 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 da. But yeah,
Yeah, that just made me think of growing up in my house, because I feel like I was very vague earlier, so I'm going to give a more specific example. But that just made me think, when I was talking about how my relationship with my parents affected my relationships, my parents are Trinidadian, and a conversation of boys and sex never happened. They're West Indian, but they're also like very old school, like Christian people. So I think they made a lot of assumptions when it came to relationships. They just assumed, oh, she's growing up in a Christian house, like she'll know. So they never spoke to me about boys. And that definitely was a hindrance when I got older, because then you get put into situations and you don't know what to do. You don't know how to move, because it's like no one
taught you.
Yeah, and boys were like a foreign thing to me. Like I had to trial and error figure this out, So that was definitely one thing that I had to go through.
Yeah, I feel like growing up without a dad, usually the father figures are the ones that usually tell you about guys, and they warn you, be like, oh, don't date this, that. I feel like growing up without a father figure, it kind of messed me up in the dating department, just because like I didn't really have the inside scoop or anything, I didn't know how guys thought, just because I grew up with 2 other women in my house. So it really hit deep when I started dating. I'll say that.
Yeah.
But let me open my notebook back up. So since we are talking about relationships and dating and stuff like that, my second question is, do you think the relationship your parents have with each other or with their significant other affect what you look for in a partner?
Want me to go first?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like what you see in your household is what you're going to do. And I think parents make the mistake of always saying, don't do what I say, or don't do what I do what I say. It doesn't work like that. Kids are going to do what they're seeing.
Copy and paste.
Yes. Yeah. So if you are acting a fool, if you're growing up with a mother who's always desperate for love, she's out there, if she's out there wilding, trying to find someone constantly, your daughters, what do you think your kids are going to do? They're going to see my mother has no self-esteem subconsciously. They're not consciously thinking that, but that's the message you're sending them. My mom doesn't know who she is. She's always staying in these bad relationships. Your kids are going to grow up and do the exact same thing.
That is so true.
So I definitely, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for me, my mom had a partner, I guess, if that's what you want to call it, for a long time. And she had the same partner forever, but he wasn't like part of our lives to the point where he like lived with us or they got married or whatever. And so I would just say that basically I've always just grew up with my mom and myself in the house. So I never had the example of how my mom would act around a man or whatever, So for me, she's just being my mom, and she's just being like herself. Like she always complains. She's like, why when people invite me, they don't put +1 on my on my invitation, because it's always like people just see it as her, It's just her. Like I was her +1 and then I moved, so she doesn't have +1 anymore. But so I don't really say I've ever had an example. I've just I guess just wing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, of course not with my dad. I'm not gonna talk about that, but of course not with my dad. But I have seen my mom in a very respectable relationship with a very respectable guy, and I feel like it's influenced me a little bit to only want to be with a man who treats me how he treated her. And every time I bring a guy friend around, which I only brought a guy friend around like 2 times, people always say, oh, wow, where you find them? Where you find him? Like, you know, all Nia men treat her right or whatever. And it's just because, like, that's how I seen him treat her.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to go for a guy that's just not doing nothing, like just not showing me the respect or giving me the love that I need or want. And yeah, I just feel like that in that way it was very positive. Like now I see how a man should treat a woman, you know, even if they're not married, you know, even if they're not engaged or what, nothing tied in that or nothing, but just basic, you know, boyfriend, girlfriend level. I see how a man should treat a woman, and that's how I want a man to treat me. So yeah. It affected it a little bit. All right, I got a couple of questions for y'all. I ain't gonna lie. Do you value your parents? I hit the mic a little bit. Do you value your parents? What your parents say, their opinion of you and others?
Yes.
Okay.
To a certain extent, because now that I'm an adult, there are definitely things my mom taught me that I could be like, I don't know about that one, you know, but there are other things that she taught me that I'm like, yeah, definitely. Like she always used to make the joke, I always come with broken friends that I have to fix. And yeah, I feel like that was true. Like I had broken friends because I feel like because I came from a broken home. So I always had like people around me that I wanted to fix, right? And same with like with my past relationships. Well, they were never serious. But anyway, they were always like broken people. And I always used to like value what she said. And now I feel like I don't have broken friends because of what my mom was like. You need to have people that can carry you equally.
Right.
And so yeah, now I feel like I don't have broken friends. Everybody in my circle, and I have a really small circle, I feel like we can carry each other equally. So yeah, I definitely value what my mom says and what she says to me about, you know, other people in my life. And yeah, I don't even think I'd really date a guy if my mom was like, no. Yeah, I don't think I would
I'm glad
date.
you said that.
Yeah, I don't think I would date someone if my mom was like, cut. Yeah.
Okay.
Scrap.
Right.
Okay.
So you said, do we value what our parents think about us
and others
and other people? Like anyone?
if your mom says like, if your mom or dad says like, like your face is breaking out, you didn't get it together,
yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah. I used to. Like I really struggled with that, especially like in my early 20s when I'm coming into adulthood. I cared, not that I cared too much. It was like,
it really hit you.
I had to set boundaries with my parents. I think also being an only child, all of the attention is on me. So everything, like they always had an opinion.
Yeah,
do
they
this. You should be,
everything,
you should be doing this. You shouldn't. And it was like, you need to give me space to figure myself out. So I've had to set those boundaries. Like I'm never going to be able to find my own voice if you're always, I can only hear your voice.
A helicopter parent.
Exactly. So I value what my parents say because I value their wisdom and their input in my life, but it has to be within the boundaries of like, you at the end of the day, I'm going to do what I need to do. And in terms of other people, same thing. Like I do value their wisdom. I think your parents can see things as an outsider that you can't see. Anytime my mom has ever told me that person's not your friend, that man is whatever, she was always right.
Yeah.
You know, every time. So I definitely value it. But I also think in terms of like romantic relationships, same thing. Like at the end of the day, I do have to figure it out myself to an extent, because even though your parents can be wise, they're still human and they can still project things that their own biases or their own, you know what I'm saying? So I just say use discernment. That's how I view it. Like I don't think I would be with someone if my parents were like, no, but I still have to use my own discernment in the situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like as a child, I didn't value my mom's opinion enough because I feel like she had a lot of like lessons that I would have turned out to be a better person,
yeah,
a better person than I am now, even though I'm a pretty good person, but you know, than I'm now just by taking the advice that she gave me when I was younger. Like certain friends, you know how like your mom always says, if you say something about one of your friends that they said to you and they be like, oh, that sounds like she hating. Maybe I should have been like, maybe she is hating on me and not be that person's friend, because then, you know, not even your parents, but your friends also give, you know, impression into your childhood, I guess, to make you who you are today. So that friend gave me negativity and I was in a dark place, you know, just because I didn't listen to my mom's advice saying, oh, she sounded like a hater and, you know, cut her off or whatever. Or to stop picking at my damn face when I had acne. Because looking back at my pictures, I just had so many bad scars on my face. I'm like, dang, my mom told me not to pick at my face, told me to put cream on my face. Like, so yeah, I just feel like I didn't value her opinion enough as I value it now. I really value my mom's opinion. Whenever she tells me something, I really think about it. And, you know, at the time, I'm going to be like, girl, bah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But after I say that, and, you know, after I say that in my head, I'm like, dang, like, maybe she right.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe let me go back and say, my bad, mom, you know, because you was right about this and that and third. And, you know, I know my mom, she might be listening. So I just want to say, Mom, I really appreciate you. You did a very good job.
Shout out to my mama.
Right. Shout out to our parents, because y'all did a very great job. Like, look at us right now.
Yeah, look at us.
Successful, beautiful Black women.
Yeah.
Got our stuff together.
They'd be
And
proud.
yeah, I'm just, yeah.
But to touch on the conversation of not listening to your parents, I think every child goes through that,
Yeah.
especially girls,
Yeah.
because as girls, we're very dramatic, first of all.
And we think we know it all.
Yeah, we think we know it all, and not just that. Like when you're young, as a girl, you really believe in your heart and soul that your parents just do not understand you, and that's where your frustration comes from, and that's where you either rebel or you just totally like block your parents out, right? And some of us are like in between rebelling and blocking them out, but yeah, I feel like, you know, it's normal to feel that you don't really value your parents' advice. Like, yeah, I do wish I listened to my mom sometimes, but at the same time, I'm happy I didn't, because look where I am now, baby. If I listened to her, I might have been better, but I might have not been better. You know, we'll never know.
Yeah.
We'll never know.
I think it's
But, yeah.
inevitable. Like, you can't, to an extent, you kind of have to do things on your own and make mistakes, because that's how you learn. If you do everything perfectly, adversity builds resilience. So you have to go through tough times to figure it out. And you're going to have to make mistakes. I have to go through some bad relationships to learn.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's different for all three of us, because you were the only child and you had strict parents. You know, I was the only child. I only had one parent, and my mom was like in between strict and allowing you to find your own feet. And then Nia, you know, she had a sibling. So, and she was, you know, a child to the only parent. So
both like my parents, to be honest.
yeah, so like you having two parents but being the only child, and they were strict, and as I said early on, for us it's a little bit different, because with Faith, she wasn't really like given the opportunities to like find her feet, and so I think you felt very trapped, and you kind of believed that you had to value your parents' opinions and like do what your parents did. But with me, I only had one parent, and I was the only child, so I was never compared to anybody else, or there was never like high expectations because someone else achieved more than me, you know. And with that being said, like I was always able to like, you know, have my own sense of guidance or like figure things out myself. And with Nia, she had a sister, and so, you know, sometimes with children that are not the only child, sometimes their parents compare, and so
especially the baby.
Yeah, and that's why there's that like tension and friction of not really wanting to listen to what your parents say, because you feel like your parents are not on your side. And so, yeah, I feel like for the two of you, as you guys became older, you guys started finding your ground more. Whereby with me, it was very different.
And also,
I was just going to say, I also think that my experience is typical of like a first generation American. Asian, Indian, Nigerian kids, they come up here and their parents are like, you're going to be a doctor, a lawyer, you better come home with straight A, you know? So we don't feel like we have a lot of room to make mistakes, or it was like, you're going to college.
Yeah.
I was a math major when I started. What?
And that also comes from like, when you are a foreigner, like all those things that Faith said, you come from families that come from countries that don't have much.
Yeah.
So your parents are basically relying on you to make everybody's life better, not just their lives, but your whole family, because you kind of, it's like a domino effect, right? Like you kind of start it. And if you fail, everybody fails. And that's something that I personally feel like foreign parents need to work on, because it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure. A lot of kids that come from households like that hurt themselves because they lost in the world. You know, they don't know who they are, and they just do dumb things and make dumb decisions because mom or dad is like, just, you know, everybody is weighing their weight on them.
Right. I mean, I didn't necessarily have that pressure because thankfully my parents did well, so I didn't have the pressure of like, you got to make it for us.
Yeah.
But they were still like, you need to make it.
Yeah,
you know,
because we
we
worked hard to bring you here.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Right. Just because, like, you know, I've been in America my whole life, but I feel like, you know, like Kaya said, they come from a country that doesn't have as much, and then they come here and they just see opportunity, and they want you to be better, you know, than you, because America is the home of free, I guess.
I know, it really is. Like me coming here 3 years ago, like freshly out of school and whatever, I could definitely tell you guys that you guys have so much opportunity that you take for granted.
Oh,
like,
please.
I don't necessarily want to like go deep into this conversation, but
we can
like,
save it for another time if you want.
even should I not?
No, go ahead.
Okay,
Go ahead,
even like homeless people. It's so crazy to see how many homeless people you guys have, because you guys have so much free opportunity. In my country, I'm not saying it's okay that there's so many homeless people, but we have homeless people because we don't have anything. Like, it's really, really hard to make a life for yourself outside of America. Like, in another country, it's really, really hard. Like, oh my goodness. In South Africa, if you have Wi-Fi at your house, that's the house to be at. Like, in America, I could walk out of my street and I have Wi-Fi for years. You know, like, you guys have so much opportunity, and you guys are already sleeping on your opportunity. And
this is a whole other conversation, because there's always that tension of like African Americans and like foreigners, because foreigners come here and then they're like, you guys are taking this for granted, and then the African Americans like, well, you don't understand our situation. Whoa, this is a whole other conversation.
And I totally like sympathize with African Americans. But there's a but, okay? There is a big but. You guys need a
not even just African Americans. I think it's just Americans in general. When you're living in privilege and you're so disconnected from the rest of the world, you have no idea. So Americans will always complain like, oh, America's so trash. I'm like, you don't know what trash is.
Exactly. Exactly. Like, you really don't know what trash is.
Anyway, we'll save it for another time.
But
we'll save it for another time. That's a good topic, though.
That is a good topic.
Yeah.
We can speak on that one.
We will come back with that topic, guys.
So my scenario is very long, and like I said, I
can see a whole Bible over there.
I cannot memorize my words. So
That's
I'm
fine.
going to have to read it. Clear my doubts. All right, so this is my scenario. Let's say you're in a healthy relationship, like, you know, the relationship I'm in, the relationship you're in, and
the relationship I'm in with myself.
We're also in a healthy relationship.
And with your partner, and let's say, you know, maybe y'all were together for like a good 4 to 5 years strong. You know, y'all had a little petty arguments that, you know, couples usually have, but nothing like too crazy or anything like that. So your partner decides to pop the big question, right? And you're all excited. Y'all are just, you know, in the moment, like, oh my gosh, you know. And you go to tell your guardians or your parents or whoever's watching over you, and y'all have the best relationship. Like, your parent never steered you wrong in anything. You know, every time they told you that something was crazy, that it was crazy, you know, and you should be like, dang, I should have listened to my parents, like I said earlier. But, you know, you tell them, and they don't have the same reaction that you have. You know, they're like, are you sure? You know, because you know how, like y'all were saying earlier, like, you value, if your parents told you, if your mom told you no, and you said no. So, you know, they don't have the same expression and excitement that you have, and they're just saying all these excuses to, like, questioning if it's the right decision, you know. And let me see. They never brought up, like, during the relationship, they never brought up anything like expressing that they didn't like your partner or anything like that. So you're just wondering, what the heck? Like, what are you seeing that I'm not seeing? Let's go to the questions. And they even go as far as, like, let me say this. They even go as far as saying, like, they won't support your decision, and they won't even, like, help you or attend the wedding.
Oh, okay.
So let's go into the questions. How do you think that you know, the way your parent expressed their feelings, how do you think that it will affect your relationship? short term and long term? That would be the first question.
Yeah.
So for me, I think it would be very weird that you would have a relationship for almost 5 years and your parents never
said anything?
expressed
Yeah.
any kind of emotion towards your relationship.
No, they never express any hatred.
Yeah,
or
but that's what I'm saying. Like, never express any like negative
Right.
energy towards your relationship. Like, that would be weird. Like, really? You just
waited
sat
till
there for
now?
5 years
Yeah.
and said nothing?
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, if I also wouldn't be in a relationship for 5 years where I felt that this person wasn't good enough for me. So as much as I say if my parents are like, oh no, I wouldn't be with that person. If I'm with that person for 5 years and my parents hasn't said anything for all those 5 years and I'm really happy and that person and I've grown and achieved many things together, I'm going to marry that person. Because for 5 years, you guys didn't say anything and now you want to say something? No, shut your booty down. Okay?
Yeah.
And don't attend the wedding. That's not my problem, baby. That's one less person I have to feed.
Well, it wouldn't hurt you that they weren't there.
It would hurt me. It would hurt me. But you took 5 years to say something.
Yeah.
Like I would be so confused. Like I would be so confused because if I'm that happy, again, I wouldn't be with someone for that long if I was not happy. So if I was that happy that I said yes to this person and you didn't say something for 5 years, just don't. It's okay if you don't attend the wedding. I'll invite my grandmother.
How do you think that will affect your relationship with them?
I mean, obviously we wouldn't have a relationship after then.
Really?
I mean, not like
With your parents?
I
Or
mean,
with...
Parents.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't scrap them out of my life. I would get married to my partner, but I feel like the ball's kind of in their court after that because they the one that came and said, I don't approve of this after 5 years. So the ball's in their court. Like, I'm not gonna erase them out of my life, but they need to choose how they move.
Right.
And with me saying that, I'm gonna have like some kind of guard up, right? Because I'm gonna feel like why, and I'm gonna ask them like, why is it that you guys don't like this person? Like, it's been 5 years.
What if they gave you a reason like it's not that they don't like the person, it's that they don't think y'all are ready? Would you that's also like what my second question a little bit, like would you question your decision of saying yes, and would you like question your decision of like, am I ready?
I don't know, because it's one thing being out of a relationship and saying they not ready, and another thing being in a relationship and saying they not ready. Because if someone said to me, oh, you guys are not ready to get married, like when you date someone and you kind of like know that you want to marry them, you guys started like setting your goals, setting your plans and whatever. And if you guys met all those goals and all those plans, you guys are ready to get married in your eyes, right? Maybe not in other people's eyes, but in your eyes, you've achieved everything as a couple that you wanted to achieve. And so you feel that you're ready to get married. And so, yes, I think I would still get married to the person because we've achieved our goals as a couple. And if nobody gets married to get divorced, but if we do get divorced or whatever, it's a lesson that was learned. And I'm not going to go to my parents and be like, I should have listened to you guys. Or I also don't want them to come to me and be like, I told you so. But I learned my lesson and it's okay. So yeah, for me, that's where I will figure out if it works for me or if it doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay,
what do I think about this? First of all, I kind of agree with you. Like, you waited 5 years. I mean, even if we dated shorter, like right before my wedding is not the time, or like after my proposal is not the time to communicate this. So I would definitely need an explanation. Like, I need you to tell me why you feel this way, why you waited so long. But let's just say it got to the point where they were like, I decided I'm still going to go through with it. And they're like, well, we're not coming to the wedding. That's tough because for me, like when we get married, it's a joining of the families, so we're supposed to come together. So it's definitely going to put a rift in the relationship if like you guys aren't talking to my husband or vice versa. And I would be very hurt, hurt that my parents weren't at my wedding. Like, that is so important to me. So I would definitely be crying.
Oh.
Yeah, like that would really suck. I mean, I would not go through with it if if the reasons that they gave me were valid. Like if they really could explain.
What reason?
Yeah.
What's a good reason?
If my mom, I don't know, it would have to be like, maybe they heard something or they saw something that he did and they have like solid evidence of that. Or if it was just like, it's hard to give an example, but it would have to be like, we're seeing something in him. And if they explain it to me thoroughly and then I come to terms with it and then I see it for myself, then I'll be like, okay, maybe I did have a blind spot to that.
Okay.
Because sometimes you have blind spots to the people you're in relationships with. So if what they said match up with what and I thought about it and I saw it, then I would end it. But if I really was just like, I don't agree, like, and I decided to go through with it, it would suck. I mean, but at the end of the day, if I get married, you have to respect my relationship. So it would change our dynamic because it's like, now I feel like I can't come around or I can only come around without him.
Yeah.
That definitely is a tough one. What was the other part of the question?
No, just how like, no, you really answered it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You answer everything. And you guys are contradicting yourselves because earlier you were like, no. If my mom says no.
No, that's why I said like to a certain extent.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
no
why I said you have
no.
to use discernment too.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's why I say the ball's kind of in their court because if
Okay.
that's how they feel and I go ahead with my marriage, then it's kind of like they can either be a part of our lives or not. Because now that it's my husband, I can't really be like, oh, stay at home, I'm going to my family event.
Right.
You know, like we now a pair. So if I go, he goes. Yeah.
Yeah, it
It's a
depends
tough
on
one.
it just depends on like the place that it's coming from. Like I said, they have to give me valid reason and I have to see it.
What if they can't give you a valid reason? It's just, well, a valid reason that you understand, but they just feel it with all their heart. And they're just like, just think about your decision. Would you take heed to that? Would you think about your decision or would you just go with the decision you already made?
It's kind of hard because it's like if you can't make it clear, if you feel so strongly about it and you can't clarify why, it's kind of like hard
But they
to
never
see
led
your
you
point.
astray. And you took their advice every time and they never let you astray.
It's
I mean,
still kind of hard to like see their point.
I'm an adult. Like you can be as wise and as loving as you want to be, but if you can't give me concrete evidence or a serious reason, I can't live my life on the whims of your feelings.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
How do you feel, Neil?
I mean, I don't know, just because my love for my significant other, especially if we about to get married, it would be so strong at that point. And it's like, if you had something to say about it, like if you were like, I don't think y'all ready. I don't think you should get married right now. I'm be like, I don't know. I kind of love this guy.
Yeah.
So it just, like y'all said, I was giving y'all a rebuttal because I was trying to make y'all rethink what y'all said, but y'all did pretty good, holding y'all self strong. But it's like y'all said, they don't have like a good reason that makes sense, or if they don't have evidence of like something that they did to like betray me, then it's like I'm gonna go through with it because this is somebody that I love. Obviously, they love me enough to want to get married or whatever, want to spend the rest of life, tie the knot, whatever you want to say. So I'm gonna go through with it.
Yeah. Also, I feel like if you're dating someone for 5 years and your parents haven't said anything and that person proposes to you, for me, if I was a parent and I was in that situation, if I could see that my child has reached all her or his goals and they've succeeded in life and they've become a great human being, and even though I don't like or agree with their partner, if I can see that excuse me, that their partner has somewhat made them a better person, I'm going to bite my tongue. Like after 5 years, I'm gonna bite my tongue because as parents, I don't think I don't have no kids. As parents, I don't think they will always agree.
Oh, my son is growling.
I heard it over here.
Yeah, as parents, I don't feel like they will always agree on the decisions that we make. But I think if they just support us from a distance, I feel like that's all that matters.
Okay.
So I wouldn't say anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes you just have to support your kids' decisions, even if you don't like.
Yeah.
I'm not
gonna catch them if they fall, but don't say I should have told you.
Right,
Like
that is one thing I'm gonna tell you.
She's like, I'm gonna tell you.
I love my mom, but that is one thing that I do not like that she does. If she tells me something and I don't like, take heed or receive the advice and I do something else and then it doesn't go the way it plans, she always says how she told me so. Oh my gosh, I be screaming in my head, like, are you serious? This is not the time. Like, I'm distraught. This is not the time for you to say, oh, I told you so. This is the time for you to comfort me. And then after, when I'm over the situation, to be like, okay, well, this is what I told you. And this is why I told you it. And this is how it came out. Not when I'm crying or something, but, I don't know. Not when I'm like upset or crying or something like that. But yeah.
Oh, but can I also say, like, I understand, parents do that because they feel like they've experienced it already. They've been through, and that's something my mom would always say, oh, I've been at that stage. I've already experienced, so I know what's going to happen. And I think that is, having that mindset causes issues in relationships because you need to give people the benefit of the doubt that they're intelligent enough to make their own decision and to figure it out in the way that they want to figure it out. You can't force things don't have to go the way that you think that they should go. Right. And that's something I feel like parents have a hard time reckoning with.
Because they always say that, like, oh, I'm telling you because I've been there or I've experienced it. And it's like, yeah, but I haven't.
Right.
So allow me to fall and pick myself up in the way that I know will suit me. And I can do this forever and ever. And I won't ever feel broken about it.
And trust that you've done a good enough job raising me that I can figure it out, that I'm smart enough to get myself out of, even if I do make a mistake,
Yeah, I feel like sometimes parents live through their child again, live their youth through their child again. And they think that, everything that they did, all their mistakes, even though I know they do it out of love, but, everything that they made a mistake in, they don't want their child to make a mistake in that, like you said. But like you said as well, if I never experience it, I'm never going to know, how it goes. And if it happens to me one day, I'm just going to freak out because I don't know what's going on. I would rather experience it while I'm with you than to experience it by myself. So I can have you to fall back on, say I told you so after the situation is done, so.
See, it's really hard to find yourself through someone else's trauma.
Exactly.
Like, as a parent, you've been through your trauma and you picked yourself up and dealt with it because you had to and nobody like stood in your path to help you figure it out. But for me, don't put your trauma on me and expect me to deal with things the same way that you do.
Yes.
Right.
Because I'm your child, but I'm an individual as well. And I'm always going to be an individual.
And they're not the ones that are going to have to live with the consequence of your decision.
Exactly.
You are.
Exactly. And parents don't know this, but kids beat themselves up about a lot of things.
Lord,
so many things. Like kids are really, like, as much as we rebel or we're like, you don't understand me. Like, we really beat ourselves up over a lot of things. Like, a lot of things.
Right. And I'd rather beat myself up by myself than to have another person who is not me beating me up as well. So it's like, dang, I'm getting double teamed by myself and then my parent.
Exactly.
Like,
especially by someone that you feel like has to support you, and now they're beating you up too. It's like, oh my God, I'm just dying at this point.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And it all goes back to them affecting you personally, like your personality. Like, you're going to feel like every time they beat you up, you're going to have something to say. You're going to be like, wow, dang. Like, and then when somebody who's not your parent, of course, beats you up, you're going to just attack them just because you feel like you're being attacked. Like, you can't take constructive criticism because your parent always gave you criticism, not even construction sometimes, but your parent always gave you criticism because they want you to do better. And now you can't take constructive criticism from anybody else because you just think they're going to be like downing you, criticizing you and not helping you. So,
and words really linger forever and ever and ever.
Well, I tell you,
she said what?
Like some of my old teachers.
Yeah,
I can still remember what they said to me.
Yeah, seriously, speak life into your children.
Yeah, speak positivity. Just be there for them and don't drown them. Don't suffocate them.
For real.
Let them grow. And we're not even just speaking to our parents.
Yeah,
we're speaking in general. Like, let your children be themselves,
Yeah.
Like, we always talk about Jada and Will's kids and being different. Holly and Haley, or
Holly and Haley?
Holly and Chloe. I don't know her.
Chloe and Chloe.
Haley?
Yeah.
Haley and Chloe.
Haley.
Her name is hard to pronounce. I don't know why it's so hard to pronounce, but
but
they're different, and they're they're sisters, but they have totally, completely personalities. Jaden, Willow, and I don't know
the other one.
The other one, all different personalities, and their parents let them express themselves. What?
Yes.
Willow and Jaden are the example of what happens when you don't.
When you overly,
you just let your kids do whatever they want.
Overly allow your children to be free.
Yeah.
Wait, why do you say that?
I mean, I guess that's another story. It comes down to what you value, your own personal morals and values, but I guess letting your kids know, like, it's okay to make mistakes, but I'll catch you when you fall. I think giving your kids too much free reign ends up in a disaster.
Yeah, it can end up in a disaster,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, guys, this was a pretty lengthy topic. This is a topic that can go on for hours.
Yeah, that's true.
But we gotta cut it short.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good time to wind down. Do y'all think so?
I think so. Let's wind down.
Okay. Faith is hungry.
I'm starving. My stomach is going crazy.
We knew.
I heard it. Nah, but what are your takeaways from this topic?
My takeaway is I need a nap. JK. Okay. I think for me, kids. Okay, I don't know, because I'm no longer a kid. I make my own decisions now.
The children of the parents or whatever.
Yeah. Okay, kids out there. Okay, listen to me. I think parents need to learn that as kids, kids are their own people, and they need to like guide their children, but also allow room to grow. And I think kids, we need to like stop thinking that our parents just are like attacking us. Like we really need to like sit with what they say and think about it instead of just being like, man, she always says that, you know, and like we should just really like think about it. But my takeaway is that, and also that I think also as children, we shouldn't be afraid to sit down with our parents and talk about things. Like parents are really big on just brushing things off, like it's their say and they have the last say. But as kids, we need to be like, no, I am also human, I am also part of this household, and I also have a say. So we just need to be like more open to speaking to our parents. And you know, even if they don't listen or take it the right way, at least you know you've done your part to speak about it, and maybe, you know, that's like a weight off your shoulder. So yeah, that's my takeaway point for today's episode.
Yeah, I think my takeaway would be, if you are an adult, if you're someone that's like in your early 20s or late 20s, whatever, the importance of taking accountability. Because at that point, when you're a child, you're just a victim to your circumstance. So whatever happens, happens. You can't control that. But when you become an adult, you have to take the reins of your life. And the only way that's going to happen is if you learn processing your relationship, like the things that happen, the things that you didn't get that you may have needed. And I think that's a good point. Like when you do, if you're in a situation where you can talk to your parents about it, be prepared to not get the response that you expect. They may never apologize. They may never see they're wrong. And you have to come to terms with that. What?
I wanted to say, this is something that I totally, like I said, I have brain fart, whatever. I wanted to say, parents need to learn to apologize to their kids, because parents do not apologize. And that's one of my takeaway things, that parents out there, you guys need to learn to apologize. And like Faith said, take accountability for for what you said to your child and the way you hurt your child. Because even though it's your child, that child is a human being and they deserve an apology. And I feel like if parents apologize more, kids would listen more, you know, because I feel like if parents kind of admit that they make mistakes, kids won't be as afraid to make mistakes.
And tell their parent that they made a mistake.
So parents out there, apologize to your kids.
And it's like, it's one thing if you don't understand how your child is feeling, but it's another thing if they express to you how they felt and you still don't acknowledge it and you still don't apologize. It's like, dang, like I expressed myself to you for no reason.
Yeah.
So that's breaking bonds and relationships.
And I think that's unfortunate if you're experiencing that like when you're younger, because it's like you're never... How do you fix that as a child? You don't know how to process that. It's like the person that I'm looking to for everything can't even apologize to me or will never, that's a hurtful thing. But I think when you become an adult, you have to come to terms with if you are dealing with a parent that is never going to apologize or never, they're just really hard-headed or whatever. Learn to process that, learn to deal with that. If you need therapy, do that, because if you don't deal with it, what you don't fix, you repeat. And you're going to end up treating your kids in the same way. As much as you try to fight against it, if you don't deal with it, you're going to end up repeating it. So unpack your trauma, go to therapy, take accountability.
Yep.
Okay, well, I'm going to do a tip of the day. My tips, actually, of the day is parents, talk to your children. Let them know that you have emotions too, because sometimes parents don't even be showing their emotions, so we don't even know. They're just emotionless sometimes. So let them know how you're feeling. And then children of the parents. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Talk to your parents and let them know how you're feeling. Don't be, put yourself inside your own bubble and just feel like, oh, woe is me and nobody understands me, because nobody will understand you if you don't say something. So just speak to each other. Love each other.
Love is life. Live, laugh, and love.
Oh, Lord.
But yeah, that's the end of today. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please do like and subscribe and share. And happy Easter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, leave a rating, because that really helps out push the podcast. So yes.
And let us know some of your experiences. You don't have to go too deep with, your relationship with your parents, but let us know how you feel. We're an open ear. If you feel like you don't have anybody to talk to, you can talk to us.
Yeah, I'll send you my time schedule.
Right.
But happy Easter for those of you who celebrate Easter. I hope you guys have a good Easter. And if you're around your family,
spread the love.
Be nice.
Right. Spread the
Be
love.
good.
Right. Well, anyway, see you later. See you next time. Bye.